Over the last 3 years, I lost over 70 pounds of fat, and I'll be honest, most of it was done through tracking my calories. So in response to that, people always come up to me and ask, Nick, can I get shredded or get lean, get abs without having to track my calories? And the answer is yes. If you really feel like tracking calories isn't for you and you just get sick of it and it's not something you can stick to, but you just want eating habits and things to put in place, like a system that can actually get you lean without having to count the numbers and count this ratio, count this percentage of protein to micronutrients and all that, and you don't want to get into any of that, just know that the principles I'm about to share you will make you lose fat whether you track calories or not, and you'll know exactly how to implement them to see changes next time you look in the mirror. So let's get right into it. My name's Nick. I'm an online nutrition coach who's been helping guys just like you lose fat and gain aesthetic muscle, shifting to a new identity from your previous addicted to video games, addicted to partying, or just unhealthy habits, to a place where you're more confident in your body, you have more self-esteem, it's easier to talk to girls, you have better relationships with better quality people. And that all stems from you taking care of your physical health. So now that we've understood the importance of how getting lean and transforming your body shifts every other part of your life, we can now get into the 4 rules that I would follow to lose the 70 pounds of fat all over again. The first rule is to first focus on protein-based meals. This means that every meal I go into, when I look at a plate or maybe something on the shelf of a supermarket, the first thing I look at, whether it's the nutrition label or the literal amount of food that's on the plate, is protein. This may be a huge shift to most of you because it's not taught in schools with the food pyramids, dietary guidelines. None of this is taught to eat high protein in day-to-day life. Protein is your secret tool to, 1, stay satiated, because it actually has a higher thermogenic effect, which means your body uses up more energy to break down protein-based foods in your body. Plus, it also has a muscle building component to it. It helps synthesize new muscle tissue when you break down the muscle that you've been working out in the gym. So not only does it have the effect of keeping you feel full, it also has the effect of building new muscle. So that's why I have it at number 1, to basically focus on proteins, and more specifically, lean proteins. These are foods like canned tuna, canned salmon, chicken breast, turkey breast, lean ground beef, and other dairy sources like non-fat Greek yogurt and cottage cheese. These are all super high protein foods that are low in calories, meaning that you get the least amount of calories per 100 grams of this food with the highest amount of protein. Meaning that if you pick these foods, you don't have to scan a barcode or search up how many calories and add them all up in your phone like I do, because I actually like tracking my calories. But if you're not into that, you don't have to do that. You just have to pick these foods and stick to them. Back in the day when I was overweight and morbidly obese, almost to a clinically unhealthy level, my food choices were out of whack. I would pick highly processed foods. I would pick frozen foods that would have to be reheated in the oven, like dinosaur chicken nuggets. I think you might know those, bro. Oh, those were a classic back in the day. As well as the frozen chips, frozen garlic bread, and I just reheat it. I'd literally have 2 loaves of garlic bread for dinner, and I would call that a dinner because I didn't know that meals that were based around protein were the best meals for you. So it was almost like I was avoiding protein most of my life. I was actually malnourished because I didn't have enough protein in my life, and I just oversaturated and overcompensated with all my calories and all the chemicals in my body that were coming from carbs, sugars, fats, and hyper-processed foods. This made me come to realize that I was eating so much more food back then when I was a teenager, not even a teenager, I was still in grade school. I was eating more then than I do now because I didn't have any protein. I didn't have any satiating foods. They were all fast digesting, highly palatable foods that kept my appetite horny for more freaking food. So I hope you understand the importance of having protein. If you want to get into when I think you should have more protein during the day, it would be preferably morning or night. With the afternoon, most people, if you have busy lives, some people can't afford to have a big protein meal in the afternoon. But if you have a big protein meal full of meat or full of dairy or anything that's high in protein, just a large quantity of it, then that will help keep a positive protein balance throughout the rest of the day. This means that we have states where we are in protein breakdown or muscle breakdown mode, or protein synthesis or muscle building mode. We want to make sure that we are in a positive mode throughout the whole day so that it gives us the best chance to build muscle. So if you have a high protein breakfast, then the protein response won't be just a straight up and down on the graph. If you look at it like that, it'll actually be more sustained so that you'll be in a positive protein balance the rest of the day. Plus, if you have protein at night, when people go to bed and they fast for 8 hours, obviously, because you're not going to be eating while you're sleeping, then if you have more protein at nighttime, then the protein synthesis will last whilst you're sleeping, which sounds pretty damn neat if you ask me. So now I've told you that protein is important, when you want to have a lot of protein, and what sources of protein that you'd want to pick. But you might be like, Nick, just tell me how much protein I got to eat per day. Since we've established from the start of this video that you don't want to worry about the numbers, I'm the same, bro. I hate maths. I actually dropped out of math class in grade 10. I swear those smart calculators couldn't save the life of me. Anyways, if you want to know how much protein on average to have per day, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, if you're slightly less than that, like if you end up at like 0.8 grams per pound, then that is still a very high amount, and you'll be in a positive protein balance, feeling way fuller than you normally would if you don't follow this rule, and you'd also be building more muscle in the gym. So for example, if you're 200 pounds right now, or 220 pounds, then that would be 200 grams or 220 grams of protein. If you're 180 pounds, 180 grams of protein, you get the point. The second rule that you want to follow, if you don't want to track calories, but also get shredded pretty damn quick, is to eat 3 to 5 meals per day. Now, you may have seen people recommend doing intermittent fasting to lose fat because it increases autophagy and the human growth hormone, and it's how we'd eat when we were cavemen. Like, if you want to follow it for any of those reasons, then you can do that. But just know that bodybuilders leading up to shows, they eat like 6 meals a day and they get shredded, peeled on stage. They're the leanest people in the world. So it's not about not eating most of the day or eating a certain amount of meals. I generally recommend eating 3 to 5 meals, 3 to 5 hours apart from each other. That's very sustainable for people who, let's say, are busy or have full-time jobs. And it also allows for a nice dose of protein in each meal, because leading off from rule 1, we want to focus on protein-based meals. And the reason why this rule is so important, not just to make sure that you're eating and you're not feeling starved at any point of the day, is also because if you're having 3 to 5 meals that are protein based, then the chances that you won't hit your protein goal, if you think 180 grams of protein or 200 grams of protein per day is a lot, it's actually very unlikely if you have protein based meals 3 to 5 times per day. Another key part of this rule to eat 3 to 5 meals per day is it's a meal, not a snack. So many people lose out on progress that they could be making because they snack and they don't realize it. Reason why people think tracking calories doesn't work in the first place is because they say, I tracked my calories and I didn't lose weight. Well, hold up. Did you track all the calories you were eating? Do you know the amount of calories that you need to lose weight? If you don't know those two things, then you have no place to say tracking calories doesn't work. It's that you didn't track the right things. Most people, if they have a couple chips from a used bag in the pantry, they don't track it. If they drink some orange juice, or they have a sip of this, or they have a lollipop, or have some sweet gummies or something, they don't track any of these extra biscuits or anything like that. But they all add up. That can add up to 300 calories, 500 calories, and put you at maintenance or even gain weight, because these snacks, most often that people pick, aren't very appetite fulfilling. People don't snack to get full. They have meals to get full. So avoid snacking and only have meals when you're gonna eat. That's also why me, someone who was 5'4" and 220 pounds at the age of 13, didn't end up losing any weight during that time, is because I was snacking. I was only eating snacks, and I would eat so many snacks throughout the day. But studies show that if you eat a filling, protein-based, whole food-based breakfast, then you are more likely to be satiated longer throughout the day, so you don't fall for cravings, for hunger, and any of that sort of stuff, and you can stay on your shredding plan. The third rule you want to follow when you're trying to lose fat is to drink 3 to 4 liters of water per day. I think this is like, what, 1 gallon of water per day if we move to the whole imperial system for you Americans out there. But essentially, this is a guideline that I recommend because sometimes this is a big thing, people mistake hunger for thirst. Me personally, I sometimes do this because when you're spending a day of working and you're not drinking that much and you're just doing something and then you take a seat and you're like, damn, I'm hungry. You might just be thirsty. You might just need your thirst quenched. You just need a little bit of that zero sugar Gatorade and you'll be good. So if you're drinking a crap ton of water, then it will help you differentiate between I'm actually hungry here or I'm actually not hungry, I was just thirsty. Plus, the extra water, it also flushes out your face and pee more so that you hold on to less water and your face actually looks more clear. It actually has skincare effects, so you can look more attractive and be more confident in your skin without having to worry about looking in the mirror, oh, is my acne going crazy? So you won't have to worry about that if you're drinking a crap ton of water. And a bonus for this rule is to drink diet soda. Now, this is something that people harp on about. Oh my God, it's bad for you. It mimics the effects of sugar. It's worse for you than soda. You should have soda instead. Maybe you should have alcohol instead of the alcohol-free versions that they have, because judging by that logic, that makes sense. No, you dumbass. Diet soda has an appetite suppressing effect compared to regular soda. Regular soda is just sugary drinks that can stimulate your appetite or just not affect it whatsoever. Whereas diet soda can typically, if you have Coke Zero, let's say, it has some caffeine in it, which is also appetite suppressing. Also, the artificial sweeteners that everyone says, oh my gosh, they're bad for you, they're cancerous, was not shown to actually do anything to your body when taken in regular amounts. The study that people went crazy over was when they used rats and they infused artificial sweeteners into the bloodstream of the rats to the point where it literally suffocated. That's when they died. So if you actually want to test how bad artificial sweeteners would be for you, you would literally have to die from drinking too much liquid or drink like 10 cans of diet soda per day for the next 50 years to even see any shifts in your health. Drink diet soda. It's good for you and it tastes good and it tastes like the real thing and you won't feel like you're on a diet. And I swear if you make that swap from juices, regular soda, alcohol or whatever, to soda water, diet soda, Coke Zero, Pepsi Max, you will actually start seeing the pounds shred off seamlessly. You won't even notice it, but you'll start losing fat each and every week because you just made that swap in the first place. And finally, the fourth rule for losing fat without having to track your calories is to reduce your fat intake. Now, before going into this, you first need to understand that there's 3 main nutrients that come from the foods that we eat that contain energy: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Now, out of the 3, protein and carbs have the same amount of energy per gram. Now, again, let's pretend like we hate numbers because we don't want to track calories. All you need to know is that fat has over double the amount of calories as protein and carbs, at 9 calories per gram. Meaning that if you were to pick foods and have them in a meal that was high protein, high carb, and low fat versus a meal that was high protein, high fat, and low carb, and you just had them on the same plate, the meal with high protein and high fat would most likely be more calories than the meal that was high protein, high carb, because they are leveraging more of the lower calorie macronutrient foods. Since obviously we're not going to be tracking any of this shit, you need to discern high fat from low fat. This means that when you pick protein-based foods, that they are not also high fat. You want to pick lean-based foods like chicken breast, tuna, lean ground beef, and all the other stuff that we mentioned before. This means staying away from things like chicken thighs, which happens to have a lot of fat along with the protein, as well as other parts of the cow that we get beef from. And this also means picking white fish over pink fish most of the time, because salmon has more calories due to it having a crap ton more fat content compared to protein. Now, this isn't saying that fat is bad for you. What I'm saying is if you want to lose weight, you need to be in an energy deficit, meaning that the energy that it takes to maintain your weight, the calories that you normally eat to maintain your weight, you need to be eating less than that. So reducing fat intake, being the most energy dense food, would be a smart idea. So this means instead of cooking with butter, you can just use spray oil so that it has the least amount of oil, the least amount of added fat to what you're cooking, so that you can reduce the amount of energy and calories that's in that food. And also, instead of snacking on nuts, you can just have protein yogurt or something that has high amounts of protein with low amounts of fat, something like beef jerky. When I tell you the one thing that stopped me from losing weight when I hit a weight plateau and I was eating keto, I was trying to eat high fat, high protein or whatever I thought was healthy foods, the one thing that stopped me was that I was eating too much fat, because we don't need that much fat to maintain our health and also get in good shape. As a man, a general guide, even if you're overweight or if your average height, would be 60 grams of fat per day, minimum. If you're eating more than double that in grams of fat, then you might want to look at not reducing carbs, because carbs are bad for you, and you just might want to eat less butter with your food, or less whole milk and just do light milk instead, or very fatty stuff, less oils. Eat more of the other helpful macronutrients, eat less energy, and use that to lose weight. I hope that makes sense, bro, because honestly, that was one of the biggest game changers in me getting lean quick. And once I had this in place, along with the tracking of calories, but again, you don't have to if you follow these rules, then I was able to lose 26 pounds in under 6 weeks and finally see my abs for the first time. And I want you to get that feeling of gratification from actually reaching your fitness goals. So bro, just to summarize the 4 rules you want to follow to lose fat fast without having to track your calories. The first one is base your meals around protein and eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. The second rule is to have 3 to 5 meals 3 to 5 hours apart from each other and remove snacking. Thirdly, you want to drink 3 to 4 liters of fluid per day, which also can include diet soda like Coke Zero, Pepsi Max, and all these things that can help suppress your appetite and feel hydrated, as well as make your skin look much clearer whilst you're trying to shred fat. And last but not least, reduce your overall fat intake, which I found personally to be a game changer in getting shredded quick. And by the way, if you're unsure how long it would take after implementing these habits to start seeing changes, start getting abs, get more defined and feeling more confident in your body, this video on screen might be able to help with that and give you a timeline on how long it would take you to reach your ideal physique. Now let's get after it, bro, and leave no more lost potential.